I'm Stephen Lewis. Years of working in radio, working with record labels, and working with bands, so we decided we'd take a little closer look at some of the songs that maybe are your favorites, maybe they're not your favorites, but they're certainly recognizable. Today, we're going back to the 90s, and we're going to live that semi-charmed life on this episode of Soundtrack of Our Lives. Alright, so it's been said that music is the soundtrack of our lives, right? That's why we're here. That's what we love. You can listen to a song, and it'll take you back to a specific point in time, maybe a memory you're fond of, or one that makes you sad. In any case, Semi-Charmed Life was one of those songs in the 90s that kind of appealed to the pop audience, the rock audience, the alt audience, and pretty much everybody in between. Now, from a sonic standpoint, you hear it, and you immediately, oh, this is upbeat, it's fun to listen to. And you're not wrong, it is. But when you start listening to the lyrics and actually placing the lyrics in your mind, darker, deeper, that is for sure. But it still sounds fun, so maybe everybody thinks they're supposed to smile when they hear it. Who hasn't? I mean, for me, the first time I think I remember really liking this song was way back when you're young and you have a driver's license, you have this idea of freedom, that you can go anywhere. And in a lot of cases, anywhere is usually like a 20 or 30 mile radius, but it feels like you're free. And I just remember this song being on the radio and driving down the highway with my friends singing at the top of our lungs, not thinking about the deeper meaning of the song at the time. But as you get older, Third Eye Blind, there's a lot to Semi-Charmed Life, and it's not really this happy song about necessarily living a better life. It's a lot of drug addiction, and once upon a time there were radio stations that would not let the phrase crystal meth play. There's a lyric in the song that says, doing crystal meth will lift you up until you break. And a lot of stations, including the one that I listened to growing up, did the whole reverse. So it's doing will lift you up until you break. They kind of took that out of it. But it is about drugs and addiction and how no high is ever enough. An interesting take where a lot of drug addicts, they want to get that high. They want to go back to that high, that first high that makes them feel a certain way. So you start with one drug and then you move to another. And Stephen Jenkins wrote the song about a lot of his friends who were deep into crystal meth because they loved the high that crystal meth gave them. Obviously, crystal meth is a very dangerous drug, but they didn't care. That was the high that they wanted to keep achieving. So you start with one drug, that high doesn't quite get you there anymore, so you move up to another one, and another one, and another one, and another one, and eventually, doing crystal meth will lift you up until you break. But the song itself, the whole thing through it, is never being satisfied. I want something else. You're always wanting more. Nothing's ever good enough. So when you do get that high, it's still not good enough. So you seek out the next high. And it's just it's an interesting scope in the 90s. I think there was a lot of people that were definitely experimenting with drugs, and the difference was there wasn't social media. So I think a lot of the same drug issues today happened back then. We just didn't have necessarily the way to document it, and there wasn't the way to share every aspect of the life. For a lot of addicts, when things seem like they get worse, the drug is the way to make you feel better. It takes you out of that headspace and into a different one, and you for a little bit, forget about life for a while. Now, in the reality of that, your life's probably not getting any better. You've probably wasted a ton of money and you've made your situation worse, but you're not in that headspace where you think that way. The sky was gold, it was rose, I was taking sips of it up through my nose. It's all about cocaine, it's all about drugs. You smile and pretend in the pictures that you take, but in reality, you're miserable. Now that you can still see, especially in today's social media world, you can the eyes are the window to the soul. You can look at people and you can kind of tell that there's a lot going on behind there. So not everybody that's happy on the outside is necessarily happy on the inside. I speak from personal experience on that one, but a lot of this was based on the lifestyle that Stephen Jenkins was living in San Francisco at the time, and a lot of his friends were essentially doing the same thing. So it was just kind of a wild time that wasn't necessarily all over the internet, so to speak. Now, as far as the name Third Eye Blind, well, there's a lot that goes to that. Is it a portion of male anatomy? Is it a heightened sense? A lot of people think that the heightened sense part of it is where the name actually is derived from. Your third eye is supposed to be your perception, so if your third eye is blind, you have little perception, I guess is the play on words. Definitely one of those fun summer songs. They performed it live at Atlanta's Rockfest, and I love seeing these old performances. I've said this before. No cell phones, no cameras, just everybody involved in the music, and it's just a very cool concert experience that doesn't necessarily happen as much as it used to.
To me, says to this only ovation, her own motivation. She comes round and she goes down on me. I don't think it smiles like a drug for you. Do ever what you wanna do, I'm coming over you. I keep on smiling, but what we go through, one stop to the rhythm that's about you. You like the coast to the bus, drop another line like a turtle with the curve. Coming like a freak show, takes the stage, and give him the gangsta face to say, I want something else. Get me through this. Baby, baby, I want something else. Not this than when you say.
Now, the funny thing about Stephen Jenkins, though, he was very difficult to work with a lot of radio stations. He didn't want to do a lot, and there's a story that he told Vanessa Carlton, who sang 1,000 Miles, told her to do very little as possible for radio because it wouldn't get her anywhere. And, maybe Vanessa Carlton goes down as one of those one-hit wonders from the early 2000s. I don't know. But Third Eye Blind's Semi-Charmed Life is one of those upbeat songs that it sounds like a fun, upbeat summer song, but when you dive into the lyrics, it is anything but. But there was a trend to that. Pearl Jam covered Last Kiss, and everybody loved Last Kiss. That's about his girlfriend dying in a car accident. So, again, upbeat, fun to sing along to, but when you start looking into the lyrics and the meaning, well, maybe not so much. So anyway, give Third Eye Blind's Semi-Charmed Life a listen, especially as we're getting into the summer. It is still a good song to drive around. Interesting note too, the do-do-do-do-do-do-do. That is actually because Stephen Jenkins was a fan of Bob Dylan, and he wanted to put something like that as kind of a, show his influence when the song was written. But anyway, nonetheless, that is your episode of today's Soundtrack of Our Lives. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Appreciate it if you'd like and follow as I build this channel. The socials, I'm at Stephen Lewis on air. Have a great rest of your day, night, evening, whatever it is you do when you're not watching videos. But go spend time with people you like, love, or tolerate because time is limited. Have a good one.